Hey YouTube, this is Primetime Pokemon. In this video, I will be reviewing and then giving away the Bolt Twister theme deck from the Phantom Forces Pokemon set. This theme deck is a lightning and water type theme deck and features Galvantula. And if you're interested in seeing any other recent deck reviews that I've done, there'll be a link in the video description of this video that will direct you to that playlist. I've reviewed all of the theme decks in the last 3-4 years that have come out, so if you're just starting in the Pokemon TCG, a theme deck is definitely a good place to start, and I've reviewed every single one of those. So I'll give you a quick 360 view of the box, and then I will show what's on the inside and then get to the cards. At the end of this video, I will say how to win this theme deck. So here's a quick 360 view. And theme decks are $12.99 in stores. There's one other theme deck from the Phantom Forces set, and I'll be reviewing that deck next month. It features Talonflame. So I'll turn to the back of the box here. And this deck, like I said, is called Bolt Twister. Right here is all of the cards that are in the deck, and here's everything that's inside. 60 Pokemon card deck, 1 card checklist, 1 metallic coin, 2-player playmat and rule sheet, 1 code card to play this deck online, 1 deck box, and damage counters. So I'll read the summary of the deck and then open up the actual deck. It says, lightning and water make a dangerous combination for your opponents. Galvantula can spin a bright electro web while Heliolisk powers up its parabolic spark. At the same time, Kingler can drop the big crab hammer, and Feraligator's hyper whirlpool is ready to pull the foe under. To maximize your odds, Frillish and Jellicent confuse and befuddle opposing Pokemon. Sometimes the path to victory takes a few twists and turns, and sometimes you can bolt to the top. So I'll open it up here. And I've actually opened the deck already just to organize the cards that are in the deck. If I can show everything. Here are the damage counters and poison and burn markers. The playmat, and these aren't necessary for play, they're just very helpful. Here is the card checklist. A very cool looking Mega Gengar coin, purple in color, get a good shot of it. Here is the deck box with all 60 cards. Actually has 59 in there right now. Here's the online code card. And here is the featured card, which is Galvantula. And this is normally a non-holo rare. It has a special holofoil pattern to it in this deck. So I'll leave it up here. And I'll take a look at all the cards now. A very nice deck box. So I'll go through the Pokemon first. Go to lightning, and then water, and then colorless. So the first Pokemon line in this deck is a 4-2 line of Joltik and Galvantula. Joltik, 30 HP for basic Pokemon, so quite low, but it does have 2 moves, Gnaw and Night March. Gnaw is a good move. Average move just requires 1 energy card and does 10 damage, and then Night March requires any type energy and does 20 damage times the number of Pokemon in your discard pile that have Night March attack. So you could use Joltik as a starter Pokemon, and then if it gets knocked out later in the game and you have to play another Joltik, this move would do 20 damage for 1 knocked out Joltik, or 40 damage for 2, and so on. And this isn't the greatest starter type Pokemon because it is so low of HP, so it'd be better to leave this card on your bench and then evolve Joltik into Galvantula there. So moving on to Galvantula. And there are 2 Galvantula, just out of order a little bit there. And Galvantula is a featured Pokemon, a little lower HP again for stage 1, 80 HP only, definitely better than 30. 2 moves on this one, Cobweb Trip and Electro Web. Cobweb Trip requires 1 lightning type energy card, and it says to switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with your opponent's active Pokemon. The new active Pokemon is now confused. That's a very good move, and Galvantula would actually fit well into a spread damage type deck. You'd be able to keep switching Pokemon that have a lot of damage into the active Pokemon spot and even knock it out with its own confusion. And then Electro Web requires 3 energy cards and does 60 damage. So basically that's an average move right there. But because it is on a stage 1 card, it's a little bit slower of an attack. So you definitely, like I said, want to set this whole Pokemon family up on the bench. Get 3 energy cards on it before moving it into the active Pokemon spot. Okay, next Pokemon here is way out of order here. A 2-1 line of Helioptile and Heliolisk. Just out of order like so. But Helioptile has better HP, 60, which is average for a basic, but just has one move called Tail Wrap. Does 10 damage plus 20 more damage for each heads you get when you flip 2 coins. So it actually could do 50 damage for only 2 energy cards, which is a very good move. And more than likely you're going to hit 50% of your flips, so on average you do 30 damage for 2 energy cards. This one would be a fine starter type Pokemon. I like that card quite a bit. So 2-1 line, so Helioptile and then Heliolisk. There's one Heliolisk, does 90 damage, or not does 90 damage, it has 90 HP and 2 moves that both have a base damage of 30. Pound only requires 1 energy card and does 30 damage, and then Parabolic Spark does 30 damage times as many lightning energy attached to your Pokemon as you like when you discard them. So if you have 4 energy cards attached to Heliolisk and you discard 3 lightning ones, this move does 90 damage. So Helioptile might be a better starter type Pokemon, but you're going to want to get a lot of energy cards on Heliolisk so you can use Parabolic Spark and discard quite a few energy cards at once. So I'd keep this on the bench as well, and I'd probably put 4 energy cards on there, and then the first turn you could discard all 4 energy cards if you'd like and do 120 damage in 1 turn. Next turn, attach 1 energy card to Heliolisk and do Pound. Next up is some water type Pokemon. There is a 3-2-1 line of Totodile, Croconaw, and Feraligatr. Totodile is a basic Pokemon, 60 HP, and its only move is called Fury Strikes, which does 10 damage times the number of heads you get when you flip 3 coins. So it should be at least an average move there. You could get 0 damage, but more than likely you'll get 10 or 20. So it's a good starter type Pokemon, probably the best out of the 3 I've seen total so far. Next is Croconaw, 2 of these, 80 HP, so still a little lower HP for stage 1. 2 moves, Wave Splash does 30 damage for 2 energy cards, and then Crunch does 40 damage for 3 energy cards. Plus, if you get a heads when you flip a coin, you can discard an energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. So I'd either go with Totodile in the active Pokemon spot right away, or put Totodile on your bench and evolve it all the way up to Feraligatr, which has a much better HP of 150. And it also has 2 moves. Hyper Whirlpool does 60 damage for 3 energy cards, and it says to flip a coin until you get tails. For each heads, discard an energy attached to your opponent's Pokemon. That could really do a lot of damage to your opponent's Pokemon. If they have a Pokemon, for example, like Feraligatr in their active Pokemon spot, and you get 3 heads in a row, you could remove all the energy off that Pokemon and they wouldn't be able to attack for 3 turns. And the second move that Feraligatr has is called Second Strike, which requires 4 energy cards and does 80 damage, plus if your opponent's active Pokemon already has any damage counters on it, this attack does 80 more damage. So if you can possibly include a spread damage Pokemon in this deck has a move that does 10 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon, you put Feraligatr into the active Pokemon spot and use Second Strike, it can do 160 damage every single time. So I definitely like this Feraligatr card. You could actually build a deck around this card. I think it's that good. I'd probably include another Feraligatr card in this deck as well. Okay, next Pokemon line is a 2-2 line of Krabby and Kingler. Krabby, 70 HP, so there's an above average HP for basic Pokemon. 10 damage it does for 1 water energy card. And then Crab Hammer does 50 damage for 3 energy cards. You'd hope to evolve Krabby into Kingler by the time you get 3 energy cards on Krabby, so you shouldn't have to use Crab Hammer. And then Kingler has 100 HP, so another Pokemon with above average HP. Its first move, Guard Claw, does 20 damage, and it says during your opponent's next turn, any damage done to this Pokemon by attacks is reduced by 20, so it makes its 100 HP seem that much higher if you use Guard Claw quite a bit. And then Crab Hammer requires 4 energy cards and does 100 damage. So that's 2 Pokemon in a row that do quite a bit of damage. Second Strike can do up to 160 damage a turn, and then Kingler can do 100 damage a turn. So both of those 2 Pokemon are really going to require quite a few energy cards. Okay, next Pokemon line is a 2-1 line of Frillish and Jellicent. Another Pokemon with above average HP, 70, but it only has 1 move that really doesn't do any damage. It does confuse the defending Pokemon. 2 of those, and then Jellicent, 100 HP, so a good HP. 2 moves, Meddling, allows you to attach 3 energy cards from your opponent's discard pile to his or her Pokemon in any way you like. And then it says Ensnaring Spray. This move does 50 damage plus 10 more damage for each energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. And if you're looking at using Meddling, what I would do is I would put the 3 energy cards on a Pokemon that already has enough energy to attack, so it really wouldn't have any effect on that Pokemon at all. That way, Ensnaring Spray would do 30 more damage, so it'd do at least 80 more damage if you move 3 energy cards from your opponent's discard pile to their bench Pokemon. Okay, the next Pokemon line here is a 2-2 line of Spearow and Pharaoh. Spearow, colorless type, so you can be used with either energy type in this deck. 60 HP, and it only has 1 move called Whirlwind, which does 10 damage for 1 colorless energy card. And it says your opponent switches his or her active Pokemon with one of his or her bench Pokemon. So if you don't include a Pokemon that has a spread damage type attack, this Pokemon can really accomplish that. You can put this Pokemon card into the active Pokemon spot to start the game, do 10 damage right away. Your opponent switches their active Pokemon with one of their bench, it does 10 more damage and 10 more damage and 10 more damage every turn like that. And then you can put Feraligatr in eventually and do 160 damage every turn with Second Strike. Okay, so Pharaoh. There are 2 Pharaoh in this deck. 90 HP, 2 moves. Fly does 40 damage for 2 colorless energy cards. It says to flip a coin. If tails, this attack does nothing. If heads, prevent all effects of attacks, including damage, done to this Pokemon during your opponent's next turn. I usually don't like moves like that just because it may do nothing at all. But Drill Peck is an average move, 60 damage for 3 colorless energy cards. This is probably the one Pokemon that I would take out. I'm not very impressed by it. Probably include another Feraligatr, possibly another Heliolisk. Okay, next Pokemon here, and actually the last Pokemon in this deck is Bunnelby. There are 2 of them. 2 moves on this one, 60 HP, 2 moves. First one does 10 damage for 1 energy card. The second move does 30 damage for 3 energy cards. If I was using Bunnelby, I'd definitely stick to Tackle and not really do Mud Shot at all. It requires too many energy cards in my opinion. So that is it for the Pokemon. Just a quick summary of the Pokemon. I definitely like the Totodile, Croconaw, Feraligatr line. Spearow is pretty good. Kingler is also very good. I like the water Pokemon quite a bit in this deck more than the lightning type. Not that impressed by Joltik Galvantula line, so I definitely look to improve the lightning type Pokemon more than the water type. I've sort of said what I would do when I was reviewing the Pokemon earlier. So now we're on to the trainer cards. Quite a few trainers in this deck, only 2 Professor's Letters. All the rest of the trainers have 1 apiece. So Evosoda allows you to search your deck for a card that evolves from one of your Pokemon and put it onto that Pokemon. So if you want to get Croconaw or Feraligatr into play right away, you can use this card. Potion. Standard Potion card heals 30 damage from one of your Pokemon. Pokemon Center Lady. This is a supporter card, so you only can use 1 supporter card per turn. It heals 60 damage and remove all special conditions from one of your Pokemon. And you can either use this 2 ways. 1, you can use it on a starter type Pokemon and basically remove all the damage off of that Pokemon, or get Feraligatr into play or something with a really high HP, and this move or this card will make it last quite a bit longer, another turn or 2. I'd probably use this on a higher HP Pokemon. There's a Fan Club supporter card that says to search your deck for up to 2 basic Pokemon, reveal them, and put them into your hand. So this is a good way to not lose the game by not having any basic Pokemon cards on your bench. Next is Professor's Letter, and this is the only trainer to have 2 in the deck. It says to search your deck for up to 2 basic energy cards, reveal them, and put them into your hand. This is definitely a very good trainer card to have in your deck, especially with a lot of Pokemon in this deck requiring a lot of energy cards to not only attack, but to retreat. Next up is Professor Sycamore, and it allows you to discard your hand and draw 7 cards. I'd only use this card if there was 2 or 3 cards in my hand. I wouldn't discard all 7 of my cards at one time. Then there is a Roller Skates trainer. It says to flip a coin. If heads, draw 3 cards. This is the first trainer that I don't really like from this deck. I'd definitely exchange it for a different one. I don't like coin-based trainers at all. Then there's Shauna, which says to shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw 5 cards. I like this card better than Professor Sycamore because you do not have to discard any cards at all. So I'd actually try and include 2 Shaunas instead of 1 each of Professor Sycamore and Shauna. Next up is Tierno, and that allows you just to draw 3 cards. And the difference between Roller Skates and Tierno outside of the coin flip is that Roller Skates, you can use that trainer card more than once per turn if you have a couple of Roller Skate trainer cards in your hand. But if you have 2 Tierno cards in your hand, you only can use 1 per turn because it is a supporter card. And then next up here is Trick Coin, and this is a Pokemon tool. You attach this tool card to one of your Pokemon. It says once during your turn, after you flip any coins for an attack of the Pokemon this card is attached to, you may ignore all effects of those coin flips and begin flipping those coins again. This is a very good trainer card in my opinion, especially in this deck where a lot of moves are based on coin flips. So I definitely consider putting more than one of these in a deck. The last trainer card is Ultra Ball, and it allows you to discard 2 cards from your hand and then search your deck for a Pokemon, reveal it, and put it into your hand. I'd prefer to go with a trainer card that just allows you to search your deck instead of having to discard, but this isn't a bad one overall. So overall, the trainer cards I like quite a bit. I like that this theme deck has many different ones, 1 of each except for Professor's Letter. That way you can have a variety of trainer cards, see what works and see what doesn't. And then for energy cards, there are 18 total energy cards, 7 lightning, and 11 water. And of course, more water because there are more water-type Pokemon in this deck. So there you have it. I would say overall, this is about an average theme deck. I'd definitely make some changes to it, but just going out and playing with the deck, I think you'd have some pretty decent success, especially using that Trick Coin trainer to be able to reflip a lot of times when attacking. But overall, I definitely like Feraligatr quite a bit. I'd actually build my own deck based around Feraligatr, and I also like Kingler quite a bit as well. So that concludes the review section of this video. Now I'm going to give it away, and just a word of warning on my giveaways, I do message the winner, but it seems like there's an imposter lately that have been sending messages to my subscribers. And in the message, they always want them to complete an offer or do something else. If you win one of my giveaways, I'm going to message you and just say that you've won my giveaway, and all I need to know is where to send whatever you've won. There's no additional steps or anything like that you need to do. So if you receive a message like that, just delete it right away. And a good thing to do when you receive a message like that is just make sure that the channel that has sent it to you is my official channel. A lot of times, an imposter will have Primetime space Pokemon, and my YouTube channel is just Primetime Pokemon, all one word. But if you have any more questions related to that, feel free to message me, and I can respond to any questions you may have. So basically, all you need to do to enter to win this theme deck is you have to subscribe to my YouTube channel, like this video, and then just say what your favorite card is from this theme deck. And then at the end of the month, I will send a message to the winner of this theme deck. So good luck to everyone. Make sure and read the video description of this video for complete rules to entry, as well as links to my blog, Facebook, and Twitter pages. Thanks again everyone for watching, and stay tuned for more videos. Thank you.